Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to your FA Cup predictions. So I normally just do Premier League predictions, but it is the FA Cup weekend this weekend, and I thought we'd get involved. So those were my predictions from last weekend's games of football in the Premier League. I did better than normal because I finally got a correct score. It was one that I would have rather got wrong because it was that Newcastle would draw with Wolves 1-1. If you didn't see it on Monday night, Wolves scored a last minute header. Was it a foul? Was it not? But that's twice we played Wolves this season. Both times Wolves have scored with the last kick of the game, so that's 4 points lost in my opinion. But loads of you guys got involved, so thank you very much for that. A handful of people got one correct score, but there was just one person who got two correct scores, and that was Liam NUFC. So I've put his YouTube link down in the description. I've subscribed to him, so make sure you guys do as well. And if you want to be shouted out in next week's video of football predictions, then make sure to get your predictions down in the comments below for the FA Cup games I'm about to go through now. I've picked 4 of them. And yeah, let's get going. So we've got FA Cup games on Friday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday. So I've picked a game from each day, starting off with the Friday night at 7:45. We've got QPR taking on Watford. QPR are currently sitting 16th in the Championship and on their way to the 5th round of the FA Cup so far. They've beaten Leeds and they've beaten Portsmouth in a replay. Their form in the Championship hasn't been amazing of late. They've actually lost their last 5 games in the Championship, and they lost last night as well against Bristol City. Form-wise, not fantastic, but there's a chance here of getting to the quarter-final of the FA Cup, and they have got the home draw, so they're definitely going to be going for it. And then the Watford, they are currently sitting 8th in the Premier League. For their route to this round of the FA Cup, they beat Woking and they also beat Newcastle United. And Watford also won their most recent game at the weekend against Everton. So, as I said, QPR have got the home advantage, and because they have now scrapped the FA Cup 5th round, it will go to extra time and penalties. So if QPR are drawing with Watford full time, they're not going to then have to go and play the replay over at Watford. They'll be in the home ground for the entirety of the fixture, which I think is a definite advantage there. Having said that, QPR's form hasn't been great recently, so I'm going to back Watford 2-1. Next up on the Saturday, now there is a few games on the Saturday, but the one I've gone for is the 5:30 kickoff, and it is Newport County taking on Manchester City. So no surprise, Newport have sold out for their game. The fans are going to want to make it as uncomfortable as possible for the travelling Man City players, and Newport have had a longer run to this point in the competition than most. They started off by beating the Metropolitan Police. They then beat Wrexham in a replay. They then beat Leicester. So they've already beaten a Premier League opposition. Can they do it again this weekend? And then they beat Middlesbrough in a replay to get where they are now. Certainly going to be a tough game for them. They're currently sitting 15th in League 2. And no doubt they would hope that the form they're having in the FA Cup could transpire in the league as well. They actually played last night in a game where they lost against Milton Keynes, but this weekend is what they're all going to have their eye on. As for Manchester City, currently sitting 1st in the Premier League, their run into where we are, 5th round of the FA Cup, they beat Rotherham 7-0, they also beat Burnley 5-0, and as we know, Premier League, they beat Chelsea 6-0 at the weekend, so they've had some high scoring games in the FA Cup so far. Are they going to do it again this weekend? I mean, you can't rule anything out with Man City because they seem to just turn it on and they can just do whatever they want. But as I mentioned earlier, Newport County have got the home advantage, and as I said as well, the players are going to be well up for it. The crowd are going to be doing everything they can. The players are going to do everything they can to really put it in to Man City. So yeah, I love an underdog. I would personally like to see Newport County win, even as a complete neutral, because that is 100% what the FA Cup is all about. However, I think the Man City players should have the composure to win the game. But it's going to be a good watch regardless. I can't wait for this game. Prediction-wise, I'm going to go 3-0 Man City. It sounds like a lot, but I think once City get a goal, I think a few more will follow. But Newport County, I'd love for you to prove me wrong. Next up, and the Sunday game I've gone for is the 4 o'clock, which is Swansea taking on Brentford. So, both teams in the Championship. Swansea are currently sitting 11th. Brentford are sitting in 18th. Swansea's run into the 5th round was beating Aston Villa and Gillingham. Brentford's run into the 5th round was beating Oxford United and Barnet in a replay. Swansea's form in the Championship has been a little bit up and down. They did beat Millwall in their last game, and they actually play Leeds United tonight. So you guys might know what the score is of that. I don't. Brentford, they'd actually won 3 games in a row until they lost their most recent Championship game against Nottingham Forest, and they actually play Aston Villa tonight. So both teams have got a game on tonight as well. As for the FA Cup this weekend, I think I've got to guess at least one of these games will go to extra time or penalties, so this is the one I've gone for. I'm going to guess that Swansea are going to win on pens. I just think that two teams, similar-ish position league-wise, and I think both teams are going to want to win it, but will also be potentially defensive about it. I mean, if you look at the Newport County Manchester City game, that Newport County need to go for it. You know, the pressure's on City to win it, really. Whereas in this game, I just think they might be a bit more tactful, and I could see maybe a quieter game leading to some extra time or penalties. And to finish things off, the final game, the final day, Monday night at 7:30, we have got Chelsea taking on Manchester United. So, Chelsea, their run to the 5th round, they beat Nottingham Forest and Sheffield Wednesday. Currently sitting 6th now in the Premier League after, as I mentioned, losing 6-0 against Manchester City, and they actually play tomorrow night in the Europa Cup, so a bit less rest that they've played on the Thursday night, whereas Manchester United played last night in their Champions League game against PSG and lost 2-0, so 2 days rest, will that make a difference? I don't know. Manchester United, their run to the 5th round of the FA Cup, they beat Reading, then they also beat Arsenal, so that was a very good win for Manchester United, and it's not getting easier as they're now travelling to Chelsea away. Manchester United in the league, they have moved up to 4th place after, as we know, what has been a very successful run for Solskjaer so far in the league. But as I mentioned, they did lose their game against PSG in the Champions League last night. And they're going to want to make up for it this weekend in the FA Cup against Chelsea. Chelsea have got the home advantage, and you just want to see goals. That's what everyone really wants. I've got a, well, it's just a guess, isn't it? My prediction, but I'm feeling a full-time 1-1 and Chelsea to nick it in extra time. So I'm going to go 2-1 Chelsea extra time. Yeah. Just want to see a good game. And that's it, guys, so I hope you have enjoyed the video. Those are my FA Cup predictions up there, so make sure to get your predictions down in the comments below. Obviously, because the first game is on Friday, it's 7:45. You haven't got quite as long as normal to get your predictions in, and I will go through all of your predictions before that game kicks off on the Friday. I make a note of all of them, and I will shout out the winner in next week's predictions video. Alright? Have a great weekend, enjoy the football, and I'll catch you later.